محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا مستمعين النظام، صلوا على البدر التمام محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. اللهم صل عليه. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت أن دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة، فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني يجد في بدني ضعفا، فقلت له أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطني به، فأتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به، وصرت انظر اليه واذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه، فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه، السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع ابنتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب الوالي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرفي الكساء وأولى بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يؤمنني ما يؤمنهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم، وسلم لمن سالمهم، وعدو لمن عاداهم، ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت انكسار. فقال الأمير جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت انكسار؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فقال جبرائيل: يا رب يتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا. فقال الله: نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمير جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذنني يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال: ليبين الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس وأهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما بقى خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي: إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا: يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيه مهموم إلا وفرج الله همه. يا الله. ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه. ولا تعرض حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. يا الله. فقال علي: رضا الله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. صلى على محمد وآله. سورة البركة الفاتحة.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Let's recite أما يجيب 5 times for who needs dua. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Welcome, Sayyid. اللهم صل على
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا، واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا، وكنتم على شفا حفرة من النار فأنقذكم منها، كذلك يبين الله لكم آياته لعلكم تهتدون. Respected brothers and sisters, it is always a pleasure to be back in Allentown and see this wonderful community, especially while we are celebrating the birth of our holy prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And his grandson, the 6th Imam of Ahlul Bayt, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. Inshallah, the next time we come, we will see you are in a masjid that is fully built and a very comfortable place for you and the whole community, inshallah. My dear brothers and sisters, as we are celebrating the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, we know that there is no doubt that the most important and central figure in Islam is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. We have Imams, we have Ahlul Bayt, the Quran mentions many prophets. However, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi is the greatest of all of those figures that are mentioned. And as a Muslim, as a believer, we have to be connected with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You see, as a Muslim, Muslims and believers, there's a connection with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You cannot be a full Muslim, you cannot be a complete Muslim while you are disconnected with the Prophet. You go and you look at other religions, for example. Look at Judaism. Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Musa had a very important role in saving the Israelites and bringing about Judaism to where it is. But today, when you look at the average Jewish person, you don't see that connection with Prophet Musa alayhi salam that the Muslims have with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Similarly, the Christians. Now, yes, the Christians revere Jesus, and some started worshiping Jesus, some considered him the Son of God. But in truly following the sunnah and the traditions of Jesus, you don't find many people. Jesus never ate pork. Jesus' mother, Maryam, practiced the hijab. That's not practiced. Jesus prayed to God. Jesus used to prostrate and do sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is not practiced. Whereas when you look at the Muslims, when you look at those who identify with the religion of Islam, you see that we are instructed to follow every single decision and every single movement in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah says in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. In Rasulullah, you have the perfect and the best role model. In another verse, Allah says in the Quran, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اسْتَجِيبُوا لِلَّهِ وَلِلرَّسُولِ إِذَا دَعَاكُمْ لِمَا يُحْيِيكُمْ. O you people who believe, answer the call of God and the call of the messenger, for he has brought you a message of life. See, a lot of people when they think of religion, a lot of people when they think of organized religion or whatever it may be, they think of, here's my life, I go to work, I go to school, I do my studies, I do whatever I do, and then if I want to have some spirituality in my life, I go to church. If I want to have some spirituality in my life, I go to the synagogue, I go to the temple, I pray. As Muslims, we can't think like that. As Muslims, spirituality and religion and work and family and everything, they all go together. It's all one package. And this is why we are instructed to obey Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, not only when it comes to prayer, not only when it comes to spirituality, but when it comes to every single aspect in our life. And this is one major difference between Islam and all other religions. And this is one major reason that has made Islam to be the fastest growing religion in the world. Why? Because Islam has something to say about everything in our lives. And the way that we sleep, the etiquette of eating, the way that we deal with people, family relations, dealing with your parents, everything, there is a role model to look at, and the greatest of the role models to follow is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. In Rasulullah, you have the best and the most perfect role model. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, when we are looking at the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there's so many things that we could look at. In fact, Rasulullah, not only for Muslims, he is a very influential figure, but for non-Muslims. Several decades ago, a historian by the name of Michael Hart wrote a book, The 100 Most Influential Figures in History, and he places Rasulullah as number one, above Newton and above Jesus and above others. They asked him why. He said, and this man is not a Muslim. He said, I saw that this man, Prophet Muhammad, is extremely successful in both realms. In the spiritual realm, he was able to bring spirituality to people, and in the secular realm, Rasulullah became the head of state, he became the head of government, he established a financial system, he established a government, he became the head of the military. There were many features in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that make him stand out above everyone else. But I want to focus on one particular topic tonight, and one particular feature in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and in the ways of Rasulullah that was very important. And that is that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was a uniter. He was able to bring different people together. People from different cultures, people from different languages, different ethnicities, people who were at odds and at war with one another. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam brought all of them together. And this is a task that is very difficult to achieve in life. If you find two people, they're fighting, go and try to bring them together. Go and try to make peace between them. You see that you could probably do so many other things, but you can't bring two people together. It's so difficult to bring people together. And this is why one of the holiest acts in Islam is Islah. One of the holiest acts in Islam is to bring people who are fighting with one another, who are not at peace with one another, to bring them together. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, in his wasiyah, meaning on his deathbed, he tells his sons, Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, and all of Bani Hashim who are around that were listening, he tells them, ذات البين خير من عامة الصلاة والصيام. He tells them, if you're able to bring two people together, إصلاح ذات البين, bring sulh, meaning bring them at peace with one another, the reward that you will receive is greater than all of the fasting and all of the ibadah and all of the worship, or all of the prayer. خير من عامة الصلاة والصيام, all of the prayer and all of the fasting. Because Islam is a religion of love. Islam is a religion of life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to live at peace. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to live reaching your highest potential. استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Now, my dear brothers and sisters, one of the features in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi is that we see, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We see that he was able to unite people. He was able to bring people together. Look at if you want to take a snapshot image of the masjid of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, you will see the white and the black, the Arab and the non-Arab, the Salman al-Farisi, the Persian, Suhaib al-Rumi, the Roman, Bilal al-Habashi, the Abyssinian, Abu Dhar al-Ghifari, the Arab, and different tribes, Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj. Why did the people of Medina invite Rasulullah? Why did the people of Medina ask Rasulullah to migrate to Medina? They asked him because they saw him as a man of peace. Before they were looking for religion, they were looking for peace amongst themselves because they were tired of fighting. They were tired of all of the bloodshed and all of the fighting. They said, our hope is in this man that will come, he's going to come and bring us peace amongst each other. And this is exactly what Rasulullah did. Rasulullah, he came to Medina and he brought these two tribes, Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj. He brought them together and he made them brothers. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this in the Quran. Allah says, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. Hold on to the rope of God, جَمِيعًا, all of you, وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, and do not be divided. And then Allah says, وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ, and remember the blessing of God upon you. What blessing is this? This is the blessing of peace. This is the blessing of living with one another at peace. If you don't have peace in your life, you could never enjoy life. Even if you have millions of dollars. I know couples, husband and wife, they live in mansions, they have the best cars and the best houses and everything, but there's no peace in the house. Are they going to be happy? They're not going to be happy. Allah says in the Quran, وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ, and remember the blessing of God upon you. The ni'mah of aman, the ni'mah of peace. الَّذِي أَطْعَمَهُم مِّن جُوعٍ وَآمَنَهُم مِّن خَوْفٍ. Remove that fear from your heart. How do you remove that fear? When you bring people together, when you establish peace. وَاذْكُرُوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذْ كُنْتُمْ أَعْدَاءَ فَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِكُمْ. You were enemies, you were fighting one another, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, brought you and made you at peace with one another. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا. Now you are brothers. Before you were enemies, then your hearts came together and now you have become brothers. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ أَخْوَةٌ. The believers are brothers and sisters of one another. فَأَصْبَحْتُمْ بِنِعْمَتِهِ إِخْوَانًا وَكُنْتُمْ عَلَى شَفَا حُفْرَةٍ مِنَ النَّارِ فَأَنْقَذَكُمْ مِنْهَا. And you were falling in the hellfire, and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa came and saved you. You could introduce people to God. You could tell people to pray, they might start praying. But it's very difficult to bring two people who are fighting, you bring them and establish peace with one another. And this is what Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. And this is perhaps the great one feature in the life of Rasulullah that made him so great. He was a man of mercy. He was a man of love. He was a man of compassion. Even people who were his own enemies, people who were at war with him, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa did not choose the path of war. He did not choose the path of bloodshed. Yes, there were times where wars were imposed on him, where battles were imposed on him. And yes, you have to be realistic sometimes. And you have to defend yourself. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa tells us to be at peace for as long as anyone's at peace with you. But if someone is fighting you, then you have the right to defend yourself. Now, how do you live a lifestyle of peace? How can we unify? This is a very important lesson. This is something to think about. How can I be a person of peace? How can I be a unifier in my community, in my society, in my family? Families are falling apart. Communities are falling apart. You need to be able to bring people together. You need to be the glue that brings people together. This is how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was. How do you do that? Look at the life of the Prophet. One lesson we learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is that he accepted people and he would judge people for their character, not for the color of their skin or how much money they had or who they were and what nationality they were. This is not how Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa looked at people. This is why Islam, one of the reasons Islam became a fast-growing religion, a universal religion, where only 50 years after the death of the Prophet, you have more non-Arab Muslims than you have Arab Muslims. You know, some people, they have the idea, the misconception, that Islam is a religion for Arabs. Arabs are a small minority of the Muslims. And only 50 years after the death of the Prophet, only 50 years after the death of the Prophet, there were more non-Arabs that had embraced the religion of Islam than Arabs. Why? Because Islam teaches us to not discriminate. Islam teaches a person to look beyond the skin color and the nationality and the money and all of these things that divide communities. Today you look at America. You see America's divided over race. Whether they try to accept it or not, there's division over race. You look at Europe right now, there's division over race. Many places in the world, there's division over race. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa 1400 years ago, he brought everyone together in the masjid. And there was no discrimination. There was no discrimination. And this is one thing that you see uniquely with the religion of Islam. You see this with the religion of Islam. Even in America right now, because of slavery, you have black churches and white churches. Not everywhere, but of course there are. Go to the South, you will find that there are some churches that are only black churches. There are churches that are white churches. So here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa united everyone. Go to the Hajj. You want to see that beautiful image of unity? Go to the Hajj. And you will see people from all walks of life. People from every country on earth, they're all gathered, praying in the same way, equal with one another before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, this unity that Rasulullah created, it was very vulnerable. Because as soon as Rasulullah passed away, there were caliphs, there were individuals that came to power, and right away they started going back to their non-Islamic roots, their roots of Jahiliyyah, and they began to divide communities. They began to give the Arab more money than the non-Arab. And this was taking place during the time of the second Khalifa and during the time of the third Khalifa, that when Imam Ali alayhi salam came to power, it had become the norm. It had become the norm. They come to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he gives an Arab lady the same amount that he gives a non-Arab lady, the Ajami lady. And the Arab lady, she comes and she says, I think there was a mistake in the calculation because you gave me the same amount that you gave my servant, the same amount that you gave this non-Arab lady. He tells them, I looked at the Quran, I didn't see anywhere where it says an Arab is better than a non-Arab. They say one of the reasons that the battles were waged against Amir al-Mu'mineen, the battle of Jamal, there were 3 individuals that waged the war against Amir al-Mu'mineen. One was Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. This is history. And the second was Talha, and the third was Zubayr. Talha and Zubayr, when Amir al-Mu'mineen, when the Khilafah came to him, Zubayr, he thought that Imam Ali is going to be governor of this place, give him this much money. Follow the same traditions and ways that those before him they were doing, where they were bringing their own family, they were giving fulan this much and this person this much. They say that one of them, Talha or Zubayr, they brought their servant with them, their servant to come and collect money. And Amir al-Mu'mineen gave the same amount he gave this person, and he gave the servant the same amount. They said, this is too much justice for us. We have to wage war against this man. And this is what happened. Why was Ali ibn Abi Talib fought against? Because Ali ibn Abi Talib was the only man who established the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and the justice of the Quran and the equality that Rasulullah came with. And this is why they despised him. This is why they did not want that. So one feature of the religion of Islam and Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is that he was a uniter. And today we need to follow the sunnah of the Prophet by uniting communities, by bringing people together and uniting people. This is one. Second, my dear brothers and sisters, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa didn't just come and tell people, join the religion of Islam, you just believe and you'll be saved. Today there are some people, they don't want to talk to people with reason. They want to always rely on emotions. This is good if you're talking to a child. But at the end of the day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given every single person the capacity and the capability of thinking, of reason, of logic. Why not use that? And the religion of Islam invites us to speak to people, speak with people using reason. Fir'aun, he used to belittle people and he used to reject and ignore their reason. فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوهُ. He belittled them. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was not like that. Rasulullah used to speak people heart to heart, using intellect, using reason. One day a man comes to the Prophet and he tells Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I like zina. I want to do zina. I want to commit adultery. Who says that? Rasulullah tells him, come here. Do you have a sister? Do you have a mother? He says, yes, I do. He tells him, would you like someone to commit zina with your sister or your mother? He said, no, I don't. He tells him, okay, this is a rule for everyone. You don't want it for yourself, you don't want it for your sister or your mother, you should not want it for anyone else. This is the logic Rasulullah would use with people. And this was a convincing logic. It was a way that he would speak to people, he would come down to their level and speak to them using the reason. And this is the best way to worship God, through reason, through aql. Use your aql, that will bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a hadith from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, خرج الحسين بن علي على أصحابه. He says, Imam al-Husayn, he came to see his companions. فقال أيها الناس, he tells them, O people, إن الله جل ذكره ما خلق العباد إلا ليعرفوه. God created all of this creation, all of these people, so people use their aql and recognize God, recognize their creator. And then إن الله جل ذكره ما خلق العباد إلا ليعرفوه فإذا عرفوه عبدوه. Once they recognize their Lord, then they will truly worship their Lord. There's a lot of people that worship without recognizing. There's a lot of people that worship blindly, that don't understand what and who they're worshiping. And then he says, فَإِذَا عَبَدُوهُ اسْتَغْنَوْا بِعِبَادَتِهِ عَنْ عِبَادَةِ مَا سُوَاهُ. once they are truly worshiping God in the right way, then they will not be worshiping anything else, because they will not need anything else other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi was able to speak with people using their intellect. One of the titles of Rasulullah, Imam Zayn al-Abidin in the court of Yazid, he says, أَنَا ابْنُ مَنْ حَمَلَ الرُّكْنَ بِأَطْرَافِ الرِّدَى. I am the son of the one who carried the rukun al-Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone of the Kaaba. I am the son of the one who carried the black stone with the sides of the shirt. With the sides of his shirt. How did Rasulullah do that? This was before Islam. Before Islam. The Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone, had fallen off the Kaaba. And they wanted to come and place it back where it belongs. They were fighting amongst each other. This tribe says, we will do this. Another tribe says, no, we will do this. Another tribe says, no, we will do this. They were fighting with one another. It was going to cause bloodshed. It was going to cause war. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, using reason, using aql, he was able to bring them together. And he tells them, he took off his cloak. He says, we will put it in this and all of you carry it. All of you carry it. That way every single person will be able to feel that they have carried this black stone. They carry it, and then once they bring it close to the Kaaba, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi puts it in the Kaaba where it belongs. Using aql, using reason. Sometimes you could bring peace easily with people. This was one way Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi united people. Another very important point when it comes to unity is that you have to remember to keep the end in mind all the time. Sometimes we fight, we forget what we were talking about. We forget what our goal, what our mission is, and we start fighting, and it becomes a distraction from our real goal, from our real purpose in life. Because we become selfish. We start focusing only on ourselves. We start focusing only on certain things, that these things become a distraction from the ultimate goal that we're all working for. This is why we have to always remind ourselves of our goal. This is why we pray 5 times a day, to remind ourselves that our goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is why we remember the Imams. This is why we should remember the Imam of our time, Imam al-Hujjah, that we are all on this boat together to serve the Imam of our time. If we're fighting, and this person's fighting, and each one's fighting amongst one another, where we have disputes amongst each other, then we would never be able to reach our goal, and we would never be able to satisfy and please the Imam of our time. Allah says in the Quran, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا. Obey God and obey the Prophet, and do not fight and quarrel with one another, because you will fall apart, you will suffer, you will become weaker. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi created an ummah that became so strong. But once people stopped obeying the Prophet and stopped obeying the Quran, that's when the divisions occurred, and that's when the Muslims became weak. That's when the Muslims became the weakest. Sometimes you have to always keep the end in mind. Look at Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, the top student of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Amir al-Mu'mineen, right after the death of the Prophet, they came and they took the Khilafah from him. If Amir al-Mu'mineen was going to be like the others, if Amir al-Mu'mineen was going to be like all of the others who were willing to fight for the sake of power, then Ali ibn Abi Talib would have been just like the others. That wouldn't have been what made him great was that Ali ibn Abi Talib always had the end in mind. He comes and he says, لَأُسَالِمَنَّ مَا سَلِمَتْ أُمُورِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. He says, I'm going to be at peace as long as the Muslims are at peace. I'm not going to fight over my personal issues. And Amir al-Mu'mineen decided not to fight. Why? Because he had the end in mind. Because he wanted to save the message of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He wanted to save the sunnah and the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. While others were fixated on power, they were power hungry, they were money driven, Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and the Imams of the Ahl Bayt, they teach us to focus on the end, to focus on the unity and keep the end in mind, and the end is satisfying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, pleasing God, doing that which brings us closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another very important feature in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa and a lesson that we learn from the Prophet is that if you want to bring people together, people have to look at you as an example. People have to see you as an example. And people will not follow an arrogant person as an example. No one is going to follow you if you're arrogant. You have to be humble. You have to come level with people. You have to speak with people at their eye level. You can't be above them. You can't talk down to people. And look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the greatest of God's creation. The greatest of all of the khalaiq, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was humble in the way he delivered his message, in the way he dealt with people, in the way he dealt with the rich and the poor and the wealthy and all people around him. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was humble. And because the Quran tells us, وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا إِنَّكَ لَن تَخْرِقَ الْأَرْضِ وَلَن تَبْلِغَ الْجِبَالَ طُولًا. Do not walk on this earth so proudly. You are not so deep in the land, meaning you're not fixated in the land, fixed in the earth, and you have not reached the mountains. That's it. You're a person who a little bit of wind comes and you fall. This is what you are. But now you come and you walk and you talk as if you own the world? No. وَلَا تَمْشِ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَحًا. And here we learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi how to talk to people. Rasulullah used to sit on the floor. He's a prophet of God, he sits on the floor. One day a lady, she comes in and she asks, where is Rasulullah? They tell her Rasulullah is sitting here. She doesn't know who Rasulullah is. She sees Rasulullah sitting amongst all other people. So she asks, Ayyukum Rasulullah? Who out of you is Rasulullah? They tell her, this is Rasulullah. So she looks at him and she tells him, Araka tajlus jalsat al-abid wa ta'kul ta'am al-abid. She says, I see you sitting like the slave and eating like the slave. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he looks at her and he tells her, وَمَنْ أَعْبَدُ مِنِّي? Who is more of a slave than me? I am the slave of Allah. And this is the attitude. And this is the attitude that Rasulullah had and all of the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt had. This is why 1400 years after they have gone, we feel so attached to them. We are in love with them because we're in love with their characteristics. We're in love with their qualities. We're in love with the way they were with other people. This was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says in a hadith, he says, إِنَّكُمْ لَن تَسَعُوا النَّاسَ بِأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ تَسَعُوهُمْ بِأَخْلَاقِكُمْ. He says, you will never be able to please people with your wealth. No matter how wealthy you are, there's always going to be someone who's going to object. There's always going to be someone who's not going to like what you're doing. You're never going to be able to please people with your wealth. However, you could please people with your akhlaq. You could please with people with something that is free, something that doesn't cost you anything, to be kind to people. And this is a man who is our role model. This is our prophet. وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You are the man of the greatest moral character. This is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where numerous times the Quran describes him as a mercy. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Verily, you were sent only as a mercy to the alameen, not only to the Muslims, not only to Quraysh, not only to your family, Today, as a Muslim, let me ask myself this question. As a Muslim, am I merciful with other people? Am I merciful with Muslims, let alone with non-Muslims, let alone Muslims? Am I merciful and compassionate with the planet, with the climate, with the plants, with the trees, with the streets? You go to some Muslim countries today, you see trash everywhere. Is that mercy? No, this is not mercy. They're causing harm to themselves. They're causing suffering to themselves. So here, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa teaches us to show love, teaches us to show compassion to everything and everyone in life. And this was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. This was the Holy Prophet, a man of love, a man of mercy, a man of compassion. And another feature in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa is that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was forgiving. Today, if we truly want to create unity, if we truly want to be united with people, we have to be willing to forgive. We have to be willing to forgive, that's it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this numerous times in the Quran. To be able to forgive other people, and this takes courage, this takes strength to be able to forgive other people. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa was a man who used to forgive. Allah says in the Quran, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ ادْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فَإِذَا الَّذِي بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَهُ عَدَاوَةٌ كَأَنَّهُ وَلِيٌّ حَمِيمٌ. The good deed is not equal to the bad deed. Repel the evil with what? With good. If someone hurt you, say a kind word to them. They would never be able to hurt you again. ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة. When you do that, a relationship of animosity, a relationship of hate, فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. This person will be your wali, this person will be your friend, this person will be someone who is loving with you. And this is Rasulullah. You want someone who exemplified these verses in the Quran? That was Rasulullah and the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. He was willing to forgive, and that takes strength, that takes courage. Wahshi, the man who killed his uncle Hamza, and Rasulullah was very heartbroken over the murder, over his uncle Hamza who was killed. Hamza was a few years older than the Prophet, and he was a defender of the Prophet. They grew up together. Hamza was killed in the Battle of Uhud, and Rasulullah was very heartbroken, and he said, if you find the killer of Hamza, this man is to be killed. But then Wahshi comes to Rasulullah after the conquest of Mecca. Wahshi comes to Rasulullah and he tells him, Ya Rasulullah. He says, I want to also join the religion of Islam. I want Rasulullah to forgive me. Rasulullah forgave him. He forgave him. He didn't hold grudges. He didn't hold back. Abu Sufyan, the people of Quraysh who were fighting the Prophet every week, every month, every year, they were causing pain for Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. The Prophet left them. He left Mecca. He went to Medina, and they were still harassing and abusing the Prophet. They waged wars against the Prophet. When he enters into Mecca, the people of Quraysh, they realize that that's it. They've lost all power. He's come with thousands of people. Now this Quraysh, this village, this tribe of Quraysh, and Quraysh, it's mentioned in the Quran, لِإِلَافِ قُرَيْشِ إِلَافِهِمْ رَحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ. What does Quraysh mean? In Arabic, they call a shark, what do they call a shark? Samak al-Qirsh, meaning that Quraysh was the shark in the Arabian Peninsula. They were so powerful, they were so strong, they were the sharks. You've watched that show, Shark Tank, what is it called? So, if you're a shark, that means no one can defeat you. That means you're the strongest. That means you're the bravest. Quraysh, they were the sharks. But now in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa they became sardines. They lost all power. They don't have anything. And Rasulullah comes, and they stand in front of him. They tell him, He tells them, what do you want me to do with you? They tell him, Akhun Kareem, wabnu Akhin Kareem. You are our brother and you are our nephew. Now they remembered Rasulullah is from that community. Now they remembered Rasulullah is from Quraysh. The man that they kicked out of his own home, the man that they threw rocks at and threw trash at and waged wars against. And they killed his family and they persecuted him and they kicked him out and they sanctioned him and they did so many things. Now, you're our brother, you're our cousin. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, easily. And this is a sign of strength. He tells them, اذهبوا فأنتم الطلقاء. Go, you are the freed slaves. This was Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And of course the Quran says, the same verse, وَلَا تَسْتَوِي الْحَسَنَةُ وَلَا السَّيِّئَةُ ادْفَعْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. Then Allah says in the Quran, وما يلقاها إلا الذين صبروا وما يلقاها إلا ذو حظ عظيم. You think it's easy to forgive people? No, Allah says وما يلقاها. Not many people have this. إلا الذين صبروا, except those who have patience. And second, وَمَا يُلَقَّى إِلَّا ذُو حَظٍ عَظِيمٍ, except someone who has حظ, meaning luck. Now of course, luck is not by chance. Luck comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning God has blessed you. God has endowed you with that mercy. This was the akhlaq of Rasulullah. This was the way of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Let me say the story from the life of the Prophet and we will conclude inshallah. One day, a man comes to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. A man comes to the Prophet and he tells Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, I see that the shirt that you're wearing is ripped and it's an old shirt. I want to give you money so that you buy a shirt. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi would not accept sadaqah. Sadaqah is haram upon the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt, charity. However, he would accept gifts. This was one of the known qualities of the Prophet, that he would accept a gift. And when you're accepting a gift, this is a sign of humbleness as well. Because sometimes people, they would come to the Prophet and they would give him a gift that is much beneath him. That is much beneath him. If you own everything, if you have so much and people are giving you gifts, it could somewhat seem as an insult to you. But if you accept it, that's a sign of your humility. That's a sign of your compassion. So a man comes to the Prophet and he tells him, I want to give you a gift. He gives him 12 dirhams. 12 dirhams. He tells him, go with these 12 dirhams and buy yourself a new outfit and buy yourself a new shirt. So the hadith says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi gave those 12 dirhams to Amir al-Mu'mineen, and he tells him, buy me a shirt. Amir al-Mu'mineen goes to the market and he buys a shirt for 12 dirhams. This is the money that he has. He finds a shirt that's 12 dirhams. He brings it to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. When Rasulullah sees it, he sees that this shirt is too fancy. Now, of course, the Prophet, he is the Prophet and he's the head of state. But at the end of the day, Rasulullah wanted to bring himself equal to the lowest person in the community and society. He said, no, this is too fancy for me. I will go and return it and bring back the money and I will buy myself a shirt. So Amir al-Mu'mineen returns it and he brings the money back to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. The hadith says that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa he himself goes to the market. And on his way going to the market, he sees a lady, she's in the street, she's sitting and she's crying. So of course, the Prophet who's a mercy to mankind, the Prophet who is always thinking of other people, always compassionate with other people, obviously this is going to catch his attention. You know, sometimes we see people suffering and we walk by them as if we haven't seen anything, because our radar is not on for these type of things. Our radar is only on for the bling bling and the nice stuff, right? If we see someone suffering, if we see someone who's poor in the street, some of us, we don't even notice this person. Rasulullah, he notices this lady. Tells her, why are you crying? This shouldn't be, a lady shouldn't be in the streets, sitting in the streets. So she tells him, I work, I'm a slave of this household, and they sent me out to buy certain things, and I lost the money. Now, how could I go back? What am I supposed to do? I lost the money that they gave me. They gave me money to shop, and I lost the money. He tells her, how much was the money that they gave you? She tells him 4 dirhams. So he takes out from the 12, he takes out 4 dirhams and he gives her. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa walks, continues walking, and he goes to the shop. He finds a shirt, he's looking at the shirt, and he wants to try it on. A man comes to him and he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, I don't have clothes. Give me something to wear. Rasulullah, he buys that shirt for 4 dirhams and he gives it to that man. And then he finds himself a shirt. He finds himself a shirt for 4 dirhams and he wears that shirt. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa goes back to the lady and he sees that the lady is still there. She's still crying in the street. He tells her, why are you still crying? What has happened? Why are you still crying? She tells him, I have the money to go back, but now they're going to tell me, why were you so late? You were so late. They're going to punish me. They're going to hurt me because I'm late. So Rasulullah tells her, I will go back with you. I will take you back. Imagine, he stopped everything that he does and he says, I will take you back. And he takes her back. He goes and he tells her, where's the house? She leads him to the house. And he stands at the door of the house and he says, Assalamu alaikum. There's no reply. Assalamu alaikum. There's no reply. The 3rd time he says, Assalamu alaikum. The man comes out, Wa alaikum salam, Ya Rasulullah, welcome. Rasulullah tells the man, I said salam the first 2 times, why didn't you reply? He said, how often do we have Rasulullah at our door? I wanted to hear your voice saying salam. So Rasulullah tells him, this lady, for my sake, please do not hurt her. Please do not bother her. For my sake, I ask you. The man, he tells him, Ya Rasulullah, for your sake, she's free in the way of Allah. Rasulullah. My dear brothers and sisters, this is one story in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. I ask myself, and I ask every single one of us, to read more about the life of Rasulullah, to try to educate ourselves more about the life of this great man. Today, there are some people, especially the youth, you ask them how many points has LeBron James scored, and they'll tell you to the dot. They know everything. We need to know more about the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa. He was, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. He is the best role model. He is the man who we have to study his life. He is the man who we have to dedicate hours of our day and of our weeks and of our months to learn about his life. And if we do so, then we will be able to live a happier life. Then we will be able to be more connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My dear brothers and sisters, it's an honor to be here and join you, this wonderful community once again. Inshallah, we look forward to seeing you tomorrow and inshallah on Monday for the actual celebration of the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa ila arwah al-mu'mineen wal-mu'minat nuhdi thawab al-fatiha ma'a as-salawat.
Sayyid Saleh, my respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Want to begin, again, this is a 3-day celebration on behalf of the entire management committee from us to your families, wishing you all a blessed Kushali Mubarak. Brother early in the hallway said, you're wearing a suit, this is going to be a long speech tonight. Want to correct everybody. Usually when I wear white, that's a long one, so fortunately we're not doing that tonight. But we get to cover some important things. So first and foremost, I want to welcome Sayyid Saleh. The last time I think we had you visit us, we were still at Al-Ahad, and it was before this thing called COVID. It's been that long. It's been at least 4 years. So thank you again. It always brings a smile and joy to all of us when we see you here. I want to, first of all, begin by thanking the youth. A lot of work here goes on behind the scenes, some of which you see, some of which you don't see. Over the past few months, there's been a lot of activity, and it's really encouraging to see the youth coming up on their own. This is not things that we're going to ask people, hey, we need you to do this, do that. We get them started, but then they have been taken over and are really doing a great job. So I want to just recognize, I'm not going to mention names, because if I start mentioning names, I know I'm going to forget a few. But during Muharram and Safar, boys and girls were all helping each night, putting the tabarruk together. So if you notice, we were giving out the bags of Fatih every night. We would bring them in, they would go down, work together in the kitchen on their own, and go to the car, get things out, package all this stuff, and do the work. And most recently, I want to recognize the efforts specifically by our young sisters. A few approached and said, hey, we want to do something to help with the earthquake relief efforts for Morocco. And if you noticed last week and during the madrasa, they had a bake sale. I want to commend these young sisters. Their collective efforts over the bake sale, which ran, I think, two events. I think it was madrasa and the one evening here last week, I think on Eid al-Zahra. They raised a total of $1,500. That money is going to be contributed to the Nasimco relief efforts for the Morocco earthquake, and hopefully we'll be getting some acknowledgement from Nasimco on this as well. I emailed them or messaged them earlier today, and we'll share that with you once that is received. But again, very commendable effort by our youth. Now, tomorrow, the girls are also putting together an effort. There's an event that they have requested. We've got it approved. On November 18th, they're doing a girls' Balik program here for the young sisters. And tomorrow we have our picnic, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But they're doing a fundraiser tomorrow. They'll be selling raffle tickets and giving out prizes in an effort to raise funds for this program. I don't know if you guys had a chance to put the signs up. There we go. So this is the program here that they have set for the 18th. It's for girls ages 8 to 11. We'll be sending out the information over email shortly on this program. And then again, tomorrow is the raffle sale. If you're coming to the picnic, again, please do support these young sisters. They, again, are working very hard to put these programs together. Both the boys and girls, more good things we can look forward to from our young brothers and sisters in the future, near future. Now, we did an event recently, and I mentioned, and again, a lot of disruption occurred. We mentioned COVID earlier, our good friend, which, by the way, is kind of making its way back, especially our seniors, our elders. You need to look out for yourselves. I do understand that it is spreading again, not to the levels it was before, but some people are getting ill. I know there were a few in our community that were sick. Please take care of yourselves. Again, in these types of gatherings, if you are suffering from any type of a serious medical condition, please wear your masks for your own protection. If you're not feeling well as before, try to spare the rest of us and protect us by staying and watching from home if you can. That said, a lot of things that we had planned over the last 3 years. So the last 3 years, as I mentioned before, have been very difficult for us. 2 years we were handcuffed with COVID, and the last year, many of the things that we wanted to do, we weren't able to do because we were adjusting to our new temporary home while our mosque is being built. Now that we're in a place where we feel like things are getting stable, we're able to do more, right? More of the things that we were doing prior to COVID, things like workshops, things like special events. If you remember, before COVID, we did a workshop or a seminar on vaping. These are the types of things you're going to start seeing us doing on a regular basis, at least once a month, if not more. We recently had a great event. If most of you, I think many of you got a chance to participate in this. It was the Arba'in exhibit. So for those of you who were not part of this was opening up Imam Hussein and the events of Karbala and what takes place in Arba'in to an interfaith audience. So we had people here from Asbury, the Jewish community, as well as from the other mosques in the area, came and joined us for that day. And again, this was not an effort that only a handful could do. This was truly a community effort. Again, everyone, young, old, alike, everyone came. We had over 50 volunteers for this. And it took that many to make this happen. If you did not see the pictures, you can go to our Facebook page, you can go to Instagram. You'll see pictures from the event. But alhamdulillah, that was a great, great event. And tonight, I want to talk about the next event. We did announce this at Arba'in exhibit at the medical tent, but the next event is called Pink Hijab Day. We did this many years back when I first came into the scene, but with Muharram Safar falling the month of October, some of you may be aware, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we did this back, I think, in 2014, 2015, where we all came together on a Thursday night. We all dressed in pink, men and women alike. We had pink foods and whatnot, and we came together. This year, we're doing it a little bit different. We're taking it to the next level. So we are doing a Pink Hijab Day. And instead of me talking about this topic, I'd like to invite Sister Anwari Musa and Sister Sukaina Murtaza Jafar to share details of this upcoming event. Allah salawat for them as they make their way up.
Sayyid Qazwini, respected elders, sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. A blessed Khushali Mubarak to you and your families. Today, I extend a warm invitation to all the incredible women in our community to come together and celebrate Pink Hijab Day on October 22nd here at Asbury Church. So exactly what is Pink Hijab Day, you may wonder. It is a remarkable global event that beautifully combines the profound faith of Muslim women, represented by the hijab, with the powerful symbol of breast cancer awareness embodied by the pink ribbon. The hijab, a revered symbol of faith, stands for modesty and dignity, while the pink ribbon signifies the relentless fight against breast cancer. The purpose of this event is to foster a culture of awareness regarding early detection and treatment of breast cancer, dispel the stigma surrounding the disease, and honor the unwavering strength and resilience of Muslim women. It is a day that unites women from all walks of life as we collectively strive to raise awareness about breast cancer. To make this event even more special, we have invited esteemed nurses, an oncologist, a holistic medicine practitioner, and a renowned speaker on hijab and modesty to share their knowledge and insight. Furthermore, we are honored to welcome a panel of courageous survivors who will generously share their personal journeys through this challenging illness. This promises to be an extraordinary event, and we are thrilled to invite our friends from Asbury Church and other interfaith communities to join us in this momentous celebration.
So ladies, please mark your calendars and join us on October 22nd from 2 to 4 p.m. And we will have a very informative session on breast cancer awareness. Inshallah, we look forward to seeing you all. Once again, Kushali Mubarak from the Pink Hijab team, and thank you for always supporting us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Salawat.
Thank you, sisters. So again, these types of programs, as we were doing before COVID, again, these are not things that we generally do on our side. These are ideas that come from the community. So if you do have ideas for a program like this, obviously there are limitations, cost, availability of the facilities and whatnot, but we can work on that together. If there's an idea, something that you have, please bring it forward. Gents, ladies alike, young, old. If the programs that we can do here, this is what we want, and this is, again, we're a community, we do this together. So bring your ideas forward, and if it's like it's again something we can support, we will certainly do that. Finally, the last thing is the picnic. So tomorrow we do have our picnic. We've announced this many months ago. It'll be held at the Covered Bridge Park, which is a park we normally go to here locally, and it is our more preferred pavilion. It's the one closer to the parking lot and the park, not the one in the boonies in the corner. So it is closer to where we like to gather. I'm hoping everyone has registered. Registration does close tonight. It's a little harder for us to plan not having our mosque. So if you can please, again, if you've not registered and would like to attend, please register tonight so we can make sure we have the right quantities available for our program tomorrow. And the cost is $10 per person. For those of you who have already paid via Venmo, thank you. For those who have not, you can still pay online via Venmo, or there'll be a table at the picnic tomorrow that volunteers will be there to collect the fee. So again, inshallah, looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow. And again, a blessed Kushali Mubarak.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات محمد وآل محمد. If you can recite out louder, صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. رسول الله In fact, I'm cutting two pieces which all of you, I think, very familiar to answer to. So as we go, let's create an environment of celebration. And in fact, with me, you guys are all general listening to what we're trying to go to say together. Allah
With salvation, faith, and patience, you convey the noble message, brought excitement through your guidance. Peace be upon you, my beloved. Ya Habibi, Ya Rahman, Ya Nabi. Ya Salam, Ya Nabi, Salam alayka, Salamatullah. He has come the chosen one. Ya Habibi, Ya Muhammad, Ya Nabi, Ya Rasul, Ya Habib, Salam alayka. Ya Nabi, Ya Nabi, शुक्रिया मुश्किलें टल गई या नबी या नबी या नबी या नबी नबी गम के इलाही व बीमार हो चल इलाही बराए इमाम ज़मान कयामत रहो उठे कब्र से कह के हम या अली पाँच अहमद व अली ज़हरा शबीर शबीर से ले हर एक सब सलावत सलावत के रोज़ गो है जो नबी सलावत सलावत इमाम ज़मान या इमाम ज़मान तवज्जो ज़ात For Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا امير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا حسين شهيد كربلاء، السلام عليك يا جميع شهداء كربلاء ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا علي بن حسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد وحسن بن علي. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب الأسر والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريف القرآن، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Yalla.
Brothers and sisters, please join us downstairs for the service time.